What's up, guys? Happy Monday, September 23rd, 2019. I'm Gun, twitter.com/Gundecker Sports. I hope you guys are coming off a great NFL Week 3. Happy Week 4. It's upon us. We do have Monday Night Football tonight to linger on to, but yeah, it was a really good week for me again. Week 3, a lot of calls hit. Couple of guys were that dude for me, to kind of let me down and held me back from a massive day. But another strong week where the process was pretty pretty good overall. We'll talk about a lot of the picks coming up in this video. We have a lot to give away in this video. So in the next couple minutes, I'll be announcing 3 of the month pass winners and the $25 PayPal giveaway winner on YouTube. We still have 3 more month passes to give away. Compliments of Russell Miller and Rich. So look forward to that. I don't know that I'll confirm how we're giving away any of those passes on this video just yet. But I definitely think I want to run back that low ball contest. That was really fun. And I think a better job of explaining the rules to get more people in. It would just be a lot of fun for week 2. We were making those lineups on Saturday, and it was a little bit of strategy involved. So yeah. Anyway, let's give some stuff away. First of all, $25 PayPal giveaway was for YouTube subscribers who left comments on any video last week. Winning comment was Sean Garfield. Says, let's get it done 5 days ago. Shout out to Sean. Definitely see his name a lot in the videos. So appreciate you supporting the channel. Hit me up. $25 via PayPal coming your way. Or a week pass, whatever you want. And we will run that one back again, 3rd week in a row, PayPal giveaway. So starting with this video and any video we post this week, as long as you are a subscriber of the channel, leave a comment on each video. Every video that you leave a comment on is worth 1 entry, and you could be like Sean or Kenny from last week, winning $25. By the way, Kenny, hit me up. Month pass giveaways. Twitter, we had a pinned tweet, asked you guys to retweet it, and there was like 20-something retweeters. Hector Sherda. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Hector, you win. We love Hector. Hector's been a longtime supporter of the channel, rundfs.com, all that good stuff, and the Twitch. I've noticed that. So shout out to Hector for winning that. Then we have the low ball contest. If you guys are unfamiliar with what low ball is, we ran this league, and the challenge was to score the fewest points possible while rostering active/expected to play players and using 100% of your salary. X-Man 2424 is the winning eligible lineup, using all of his salary to score 59 fantasy points. And I mean, these are actual names. Chris Carson was one of the chalkier plays on the slate. Rostered him, Joe Flacco, Tyler Boyd, John Brown, Chris Godwin, Jimmy Graham, Devontae Adams, and the Broncos D. So these are not, these are not bargain bin fourth stringers. Shout out to X-Man for the win. The guy in last place didn't follow the rules, and Logan didn't use all of his salary. So shout out to X-Man. Reached out to me. We got you. I feel like I've seen that name before as a past subscriber. So welcome back if that's true. Of course, my lineup. I was getting scared with my lineup. I ended up finishing 34th, which is good, right? But I had Adam Thielen, who had like 2 fluke touchdowns to start the game. And then Randall Cobb almost had like a 90-yard touchdown, which was crazy. And then Dante Pettis had a touchdown. And I was like, what the heck? And then I picked Patrick Mahomes just to spend some salary. And then, of course, I had Dolphins D, who almost had a touchdown. So that was my low balls. But I had a lot of fun doing this. So I think we'll do another one of these. Magic Michael got first place with 205 real points. The top 2 lineups cash in real cash games, by the way, and Magic actually cashes in tournaments. So I don't know if he just put his regular lineup in here, but this lineup went off. CMC, Keenan Allen were huge. So shout out to everyone that participated in the lowball contest. We'll likely run it back. I'll probably have a link for it in the positional player videos. And that was the second one, right? Was it the second one? Oh, and then we have the third month pass was given away to um, people who subscribed, right? So on Run DFS. So we did something for everyone, rewarding active subscribers and supporters, rewarding YouTube guys, rewarding Twitter. The person who won the free month extension to their current subscription was Zatex XAT3X. So congrats to him. So bam, man, we are giving stuff away once again. Thank you to Russell Miller. Thank you to Rich for sponsoring those packages. That was $420 worth of month passes that those guys were nice enough to sponsor, and they had great reasons for doing so. Russ had a great note, and Rich as well. So let's talk about week 3, man. Hopefully you guys did all right. I'm going to go over my top lineup, maybe my lowest lineups I ran for single entry, 3 entry. Was another good week. I did 50 entries in the slant. Actually ended up losing like $100 in the slant, but hit everything else, the 3 entries, the single entries. So it was a profitable week, but we'll talk about 2 guys that really kept me back from the slant in this video. So first of all, let's start with the tier here. So every week I have a tiered player pool that I offer to my RunDFS.com subscribers, where I do my tier 1s, my tier 2s, 3s, 4s, essentially saying these are my favorite high floor guys that I like a lot for their matchup. Tier 2s are similar, just I'll have less. Tier 3s a little bit riskier, or guys I will have a lot less of. And then tier 4s are complete darts that I might fall into if I needed to get there, right? So starting with tier 1, quarterback Kyle Allen, Kyler Murray were my favorite 2 quarterbacks on the slate. Kyle Allen was my highest owned quarterback. If I go to my game notes tab, Control F, Kyle Allen, I wrote, to me, it's the DFS game of the week here. To save words, I'm loading up on both sides, and quarterback Kyle Allen will be my highest owned quarterback of the day for DraftKings. I had 50% of Kyle Allen. If you give me a 4K quarterback in one of the fastest projected pace games ever, I was gonna load up 4K, very low risk, high reward, and it came through. Allen had 4 touchdown passes, only like 250 yards passing, but the 4 touchdown passes were huge. That worked out. Kyler Murray, by the way, I want you guys to keep an eye on this because I also talked about him in the notes. Kyler Murray drew unfavorable matchups in week 1 and week 2 for rushing. The Lions have limited running quarterbacks at an elite level the last 2 seasons. The Ravens are the number 1 rushing defense in the NFL at the moment. From what we know, Murray is a fast runner, and I think we will soon see him show that off. And I'm thinking game 3 at home could be that spot. Well, guess what, guys? It kind of was. If we go check out week 3, wait, what is happening? Week 3 results here. Refresh, maybe it'll actually give us the scores. Yeah. I think he had 60-plus yards rushing, Arizona. And he was getting sacked like crazy, too. 69 yards rushing on 8 attempts. So keep an eye on that because I think that's another dimension, another element of Murray's game that maybe people didn't see in the first 2 weeks, but we know it's there. He only dropped 19 fantasy points, by the way, but still the process was there. 43 pass attempts. My boy Kyle Allen, 25 fantasy points at 4K. Absolutely huge. Loved. I feel like I did fine on both of those tier 1 calls. And running back Ezekiel Elliott, Austin Eckler, Saquon Barkley, and Christian McCaffrey. Saquon Barkley got injured. That's bad luck. Write that one off. That was an absolute shootout between the Giants and the Bucks. We'll talk more about that game. Eckler didn't do great for fantasy. Might have held you down. He held me down. Keenan Allen took over that game. Ezekiel Elliott didn't do great for fantasy. Didn't do bad. He was massively high owned in cash games. I went lighter on him in tournaments just because I expected his ownership to be extremely high. But Ezekiel Elliott, 19 carries, 125 yards rushing. We really missed out on maybe a touchdown to make this a 20-plus point performance. But almost 9K, 18.9 wasn't something that made you feel great. Tony Pollard in the fourth quarter went ham, 100+ yards rushing, a rushing touchdown, and 3 receptions. And that's something to watch because there was plenty of opportunities for checkdowns or plenty of running back pass attempts that went to him. And if Ezekiel Elliott, who only got 3 targets, 2 catches in his game, if he's not going to get the targets that maybe we saw last year, I'm a little bit worried, but I'm not going to hit the panic button just yet. It was the Dolphins. It's just week 3. But that is something I will be watching a lot going forward. I'm not going to Ezekiel Elliott not getting me 25 is not a process mistake to me. I just think he just didn't get the touchdown. It is what it is. Dak rushed for a touchdown. Should have been Zeke's touchdown. What can you do? CMC, huge play, 30 fantasy points. So, yeah, Saquon, bad luck. Eckler didn't shake out, though. Eckler was the guy that I think we can, I don't say reverse engineer, but look back on and be like, could have done without that one. 15 fantasy points, just 9 carries in what was a tight game. Still got 7 receptions on 7 targets, so extremely efficient out the backfield. But at this point, he's a 7K receiver. But they didn't run the ball much. 46 pass attempts for Phillip Rivers. He had over 300 passing yards. It is what it is. Would have liked the touchdown. My boy Keenan Allen, 13 receptions on 17 targets was the play from the Chargers side. My 3 Tier 1 receivers, Larry Fitz, Nelson Aguilar, and Kenny Golladay. Oh, this one stings. This one stings because I had a lot. I had about 30% Keenan Allen in 50 slant lines, and I was like, I got to get some more Golladay in there. So at the sake of chopping up some Keenan lines, probably went from 30% to maybe 15% to get some Kenny Golladay in there, and that was just rough, man. First of all, let's talk about what the process was behind Kenny Golladay. So I'll go back to my notes here. Wide receiver Kenny Golladay is 4th in the NFL in air yards, and Philadelphia has been getting burned in the air. While we should expect the Lions to be run-centric, the Eagles' run D has been stout, as expected. If they continue to be tough, they could get the ball away from Kerryon Johnson, and I'll gamble some tosses towards Golladay against this secondary to pay off. So you guys have seen it. I've seen it. Wide receivers have been burning the Eagles' secondary, and I figured Golladay would be the guy for the Lions to do that. Well, process was there. They did give up another huge game to a wide receiver. Unfortunately, it wasn't Golladay. It was his counterpart, Marvin Jones Jr. Marvin Jones, 6 receptions, 100 yards on 9 targets, and a tutty. Golladay, by the way, 8 targets, caught just 2 of them. So if he converts a couple more of these targets or even gets that touchdown, it's a great play. But he only catches 2 balls for 3.7 fantasy points, and that absolutely shakes me because I had so much Keenan Allen. Not that they were the same price or nothing, but like I literally went back and like revised my lineups to make it a point to get some Golladay in there, and 3.7 fantasy points was crippling. And I had another receiver quite a bit, Emmanuel Sanders, who also put up single digits. That was it just crippled my lineups. So those were the 2 guys that really helped me back. On the tight end situation, Zach Ertz and Greg Olsen were my highest owned tight ends. I had more Olsen because of his price. Olsen smashed 2 touchdowns. Ertz wasn't great. Defense, Vikings, Cowboys, both were fine. In my tier 2s, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jameis Winston, all were fine. Mahomes did what Mahomes does. Went absolutely crazy. On the running backs in tier 2, Dalvin Cook, David Johnson. Dalvin Cook had another huge game. Wide receiver Marquise Brown, I had him as a tier 2. He was the poster boy of the wide receiver video last week. If you guys played a lot of Marquise Brown, there is some reason to be like mad because he was getting looks, especially in the end zone. But Lamar Jackson was overthrowing him. He had 9 targets, 2 for 49. And there was a couple bad throws by Jackson. At least two of them are officially credited as red zone targets. So the matchup was there. The targets were there. I backed off of him a little bit. I still had him in lineups, but I backed off a little bit because of the rain and the weather concerns. So that maybe saved me from another disaster receiver. but not that Golladay and or Emmanuel Sanders were any better. But yeah, that was kind of a letdown. I'm sure you guys all had a piece of that. And Emmanuel Sanders, can we talk about Emmanuel Sanders, man? This guy, I think he was my fourth highest owned receiver on the day. Great price, good individual matchup against the Packers slot corner. He had 10, or excuse me, yeah, he had 10 receiving yards, 2 catches on just 4 targets. Just 4. That's rough. I mean, only 2 wide receivers got targets in this game. And Sanders just getting 4 was just not what I game scripted. It's not what I expected. Broncos were down double digits for most of that game. It just seemed like a big pass heavy game. Philip Lindsay went all the way off for fantasy. And even while they were down 2 touchdowns, they were still running the ball. So just a whole lot of stuff that was confusing to me. I might go back to Sanders again next week, but man, 4,800 for the amount of targets that we had seen Emmanuel Sanders get up to this point. I thought that was just a really low price, and thought there was a lot of potential there, and it just didn't work out. If you guys had some of that, let me know. But he was my third or fourth highest owned receiver. Between him and Kenny Golladay, I couldn't catch a break. I had so many monster lines, and almost all of them just had one or the other on top of maybe like an Eckler or something. So that was a yikes. Mike Evans. Mike Evans, man. This is the guy I really should have loaded up on, and I'm sure we can all say that now. But I love this game. I had high interest in my game notes in the Giants at Bucks. I said I like this game stack for tournaments. Evan Ingram, Saquon Barkley are both high volume guys that should be big parts of this newly led offense. You can make a case for Daniel Jones at 5K. I'm married to 4K Kyle Allen, but the point is this game could shoot out. Sterling Shepard's back from concussion protocol, by the way. I love potential shootouts where I can project the highest volume players, and we get that on both teams here. On the Bucs side, we can fire up Winston, Godwin, and Mike Evans. With a high level of confidence, Mike Evans is really rubbing me for tournaments as a large portion of players are down on him after 2 unfortunate matchups in week 1. He had the flu and Richard Sherman. And then last against the Panthers, he had James Bradbury, cornerback for the Panthers in week 2. All while being a top receiver in air yards in the NFL, not just not converting. I think the catches are coming, and this is an extremely suppressed price. I did a final thoughts video on Saturday, and I even stopped to highlight Mike Evans' air yard situation. So I really hope somebody was able to pick that up. He was in all of my monster lineups for sure. Did really well. Godwin not so much, but Evans absolutely crushed it. Keenan Allen crushed it. Julian Edelman was on his way to crushing it. Had 19 fantasy points at half, and then left the game with a rib injury. So we only got 2 quarters of him, and he might have been on his way to 30 fantasy points against the Jets. Watkins is there. Again, I pulled back a little bit on those receivers due to the weather, but Watkins, fine process play. Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, asterisk. Andrews was questionable. 50-50 till game time, ended up playing. Then my defenses were Patriots and Bills. Tier 3, Dak, Frank Gore, Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara. We'll go to his notes real quick before we start looking at some lineups. There's another guy that I wanted to go back and get my money on. If you saw my video last week, Kamara kind of rocked me with 40% ownership. Saints stayed on the West Coast after the Rams game, have yet to commit to a starting quarterback. This makes me wonder if we'll get a college-type split at quarterback position between Bridgewater and Hill. I think the volume bets are still on Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara. Thomas saw plenty of targets from Bridgewater last week, where Kamara was the 40% field bust. I think any coach, offensive coordinator looks at last week's tape and knows you have to get Kamara more involved. Because of this, I like going back to the well on a field who may not touch the stove again. I think if he's 8% owned, I'll go 16 to 18% to double the field. I actually had about 20% Kamara, at least 20%. And that's exactly what happened. Kamara absolutely crushed it. And I talked about that in the Saturday video, where the field for NFL DFS is so reactive to last week. that they forget what they have in players. They forget what they had in Mike Evans. They forget what they had in Alvin Kamara. 16 rushing attempts, 69 yards, a rushing touchdown, 9 receptions on 10 targets for 8 yards shy of a receiving touchdown or of a receiving bonus with 100 yards. 2 touchdowns there. Was a massive play. Was 2% owned. 2% owned in some of the contests I was in, and I was just like, wow. Maybe there's people this week that will overreact to some poor performances in week two. I mean, in week three, going forward into week four, and we can take advantage of that. But absolutely stunned on his ownership being so low. Chris Carson turned out to be a field chalk bust. I had a good chunk of him, but I had him as a tier 3, so wasn't one of my like 50, 60 percenters. Rashad Penny was out. I think he was like over 25% owned, and a lot of stuff I was in made a lot of sense. Expect a lot of involvement, a lot of uses, a lot of carries, but he did not come through at all. He had 5 fantasy points in the same game, 5.1 fantasy points, 15 carries, only 1 reception for negative yardage here. That one hurt in this game as it turned out to be a shootout. Russell Wilson was the guy you wanted. 400 plus passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 51 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. He dropped 44 fantasy points. Massive play here. Handcuff him to Tyler Lockett. Handcuff him to Will Dissly. By the way, they had an untimed down to end the game. And it was a touchdown pass to Dissly that really shattered the slate. And that moment pushed me from really, really profitable to just somewhat profitable. So let's talk about my top lineups here, how we shooked out based on that player pool. My number 1 lineup, the Jameis Winston, Mike Evans handcuff. We saw it in the notes. Had Dalvin Cook, David Johnson, and Alvin Kamara, who was 3% owned in this contest, which was huge. Greg Olsen was my tight end here. Devin Smith kind of let me down. He was one of my favorite value receiver options this week. But hey, I'll take 5 from him versus 5 from Chris Carson. Christian Kirk, 15 fantasy points. Everything just really kind of came through for this lineup. 214 fantasy points. Was 57 points from first place. Is what it is. A couple of other top lineups. Which one did I use in my... I think this was my single entry lineup right here. Or I had this in a couple of single entries. It was a Kyle Allen line. I told you guys he was going to be my highest owned quarterback. Threw Rex Burkhead in there. He was 12% owned. James White had a baby. Congrats to him. So we just kind of leaned on Rex Burkhead. I feel like I might have got a little lucky with the Julian Edelman injury here. That maybe offered some more looks for Burkhead down the line. But 18 fantasy points for him. We'll take that. CMC, Nelson Aguilar, the 3K chalk special, 2 touchdowns. If you guys have Twitter, make sure you guys see the clip of a Philadelphia, I guess the Philadelphia Citizen. There was a fire in a building, and I guess they were rescuing children. And the quote was, I'm not making this up. He said, "My man started throwing babies out the window, and we was catching them, unlike Aguilar." So stay, never change, Philly. That was amazing. Keenan Allen, Larry Fitzgerald, Travis Kelce, Eckler, and the Packers D in this lineup. So I ran that in a couple single entries, 3 entry maxes. And then it was just like a bunch of 170s, 190s. So if we go to like all of these lineups, there's usually one guy. Like I said, I had a lot of Emmanuel Sanders. He was 12% owned, 3 fantasy points. He burns me here. Who else we got here? Actually, I would just go to like my lowest scoring lineups, man. Down at the bottom, Josh Allen. Man, that's the 3rd week in a row I played Josh Allen, and he like starts off so hot, and he just doesn't break the 20 threshold to 30 fantasy points. Kenny Golladay let me down in this lineup. Zach Ertz, 10. We could have done without that, right? It had some Chris Carson. Look at that. Chris Carson, 29% owned. This is my lowest scoring lineup. And this one had Cardinals defense. I think this was a lineup where I accidentally had... I think I had a Hunter Hurst, the tight end for the Ravens, that I had to like swap him out. It was an error with my optimizers. I had to like late swap him, and Cardinals D was the only thing left. But as we just keep looking at the bottom lineups, I had some Preston Williams. He had a lot of targets and maybe should have had a better day than 10 fantasy points for the Dolphins. I might keep that in my pocket going forward. Saquon Barkley was one of my tier 1 guys. Him getting injured is just going to impact a lot of my tournament lineups just because I had a big chunk of them. Again, Emmanuel Sanders shows up. Emmanuel Sanders shows up. Emmanuel Sanders shows up. Kenny Golladay. So those two really anchored my lineups from having a really, really big day. Cash line overall was about 168. So a lot of lineups cleared 168 easily for me. To be a profitable day, more so, my profit came from single entries and 3 entry maxes. I actually took a little bit of a loss in this slant contest, but the process, I think we can thumbs up it. I don't think there's any big regrets on the pro. I will say that my biggest regret is not having Keenan Allen as a tier 1, and then maybe Golladay should have been a high tier 2. It's easy to say that now. I love the matchup for Golladay. But certainly we knew Allen was going to be a high floored, high targeted guy, maybe 17 stretching it, but we knew that was going to be a range outcome for him. Next week he gets the Dolphins, so we'll see how he converts that going forward. He is over 7K next week. But I will be involved. I'll probably go back to Eckler as well. I don't know if Eckler will make my tier 1 going into Miami. Miami's such a tough team for ranking people because we see what happens with Zeke and Tony Pollard and next man up situation. Talk about some play. I don't say it's a play I missed because I did mention it in the notes, but can we talk about Danny Dimes for a second? Oh my gosh, Giants 1-point win. Daniel Jones 39 fantasy points in his debut, two passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns. Huge day for him. We'll see what shakes out. Saquon Barkley was on crutches and hopping, so I would be shocked if he plays anytime soon, which will, again, create a high projected volume spot that we can lean on guys like Sterling Shepard. He had 7 of 9 for 100 and a tutty. Evan Ingram, 8 targets. So this is going to be a team that we can really latch on to the high volume and the number 1 guy. So I don't mind that. We might even get some value at the running back situation in a Wayne Gallman or something like that. But yeah, he was a huge play here. Looking at the winner of the slant, Bro Ranosaurus, shout out to him. Crazy that he played Le'Veon Bell in 150 grand, man. Oh, he hit so well everywhere else. It was a Giants 3-man stack. It had Keenan Allen in the flex. I like to running back in the flex. This was a huge play, putting Keenan in the flex. Had Mike Evans, Julio. This is a really smart lineup when you think about building lineups backwards. And this was a Matt Century guy, but if you ever want to just get really, really different from the field in tournaments, we knew everyone was likely going to start their lineup with top-end running backs and maybe punt receivers and go down to quarterback. For me, it was Kyle Allen. But, man, if you started a lineup with a Lindsey or whatever and you just paid up for a receiver or went and got top receivers this week, it was a contrarian backwards way to build lineups, and it worked out. Mike Evans, Julio, Keenan Allen, like these are huge receiving names. And then the pepper in a returning Sterling Shepard, a huge lineup. Congratulations to this guy, and then the Panthers D. So big lineup there. I wish I was that good at at football and DFS, but there is week 4. And I'm super excited to get cracking on week 4. If you guys want to get into my notes and my spreadsheet for this week, make sure to go to rundfs.com. Get yourself a week pass. Try it out. I'm going to be working on a new index portal that we can hopefully debut for this week. If you guys have been following me, my spreadsheets for baseball and spreadsheets for basketball, index portal is usually something I like to create so that the average player with maybe a small amount of time, maybe you work it, average player can just go to the index portal and really catch up to the slate real fast and make a player pool real fast. So that's my goal with the index portal for an NFL spreadsheet this week. So look forward to that. Should be up by Thursday. Should be. And then we'll have the game notes, which are usually done by Saturday. And yeah, we'll have some fun with it. NBA right around the corner as well. So until NBA gets here, we get reduced pricing at the VIP section at Run DFS, $25 week pass, $40 2-week pass, $70 month pass, and then the MVP package can lock in until the end of NBA. It's currently listed as $600. I actually will probably drop that today because it's week 4. This was week 1 pricing. So if you guys are interested in that one, you can hit me up on Twitter, twitter.com/Gundacker Sports, man. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. That was just a quick recap of how I did for week 3. I am a big fan of transparency, so hopefully you guys appreciate that. There are some guys that aren't as quick to open up their book and show you where they were right, where they were wrong. I was clearly wrong. I don't want to say clearly wrong, but Manuel Sanders and Kenny Golladay. Oof, 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 oof. Anyway, we had some fun this weekend. We're going to have more fun this week in NFL Week 4. Look for the positional pick videos coming within the next day. I'm stoked to win some money this next NFL week. And another week of baseball DFS. If you guys want to play some baseball with us, check out the VIP. Love you guys. I'll see you guys next video. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money.